Right, here we are, Sydney city centre. Quite a famous building here. It's called is an opera house. Over here we have Sydney Harbour Bridge. Series is finished. England quite comfortable victors, all in all. 3 test matches to 1. Generally everything's gone pretty well. Can't really complain about anything at all. Did rain a little bit today, but other than that it was fine. Matt's been taken away for the moment, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with Keith, who's over here at the Opera House. I'm going to ask him, where do England go from here? There's supposedly the goal is world #1 ranking, isn't it?
It has to be, yeah, and it's something that the England team have talked about a lot, and the two Andy, Strauss and Flower have talked about a lot. I think it's realistic, I think it's possible, and you know, it's a fantastic achievement what they've done here. An entire generation of England fans have not known an England win in Australia, so this is a huge, huge achievement, and that shouldn't be forgotten. But nonetheless, the team they've beaten here is a reasonably ordinary cricket team. Australia's batting was woeful and the bowling was unthreatening for most of the series. You know, we now have Sri Lanka and India next up, 2 teams who will be an awful lot better. But you know, Strauss as a captain has been fantastic. All the players in the team, I think almost without exception, are on the way up, are getting better. And so, yeah, I think there's a great future ahead of this England cricket team. It's quite exciting.
Right, well timed back from camera duties. Matt, you probably got the harder question. I was just speaking to Keith about England. I want you to comment on where Australia go from here. Is it only downwards, or do they have a hope?
Well, I think they've reached their rock bottom, to be honest. It's hard to see that they can go any further downhill from here. 3 innings defeats in a series, only reaching 300 runs once, and really looking like bowling England out. So they've got 8 months for the next Test match. Really, they've got to take a good long, hard look at themselves and work out who are the guys who they need to stick with, and who is the dross in the team they need to clear out.
Okay.
Just before you go on, the only thing I would say about that, Matt, is Australia's next 3 Test series are Sri Lanka, India and South Africa. Can you see Australia getting any kind of result from any of those 3 series?
Sri Lanka away is always a tough test. The Sri Lanka in their own conditions are formidable. Obviously the India series, India are world's #1 team at the moment. So out of those 3, I think South Africa, I could see them getting something out of that. They won in South Africa beginning of 2009. So yeah, I'd give them a chance if they can rebuild and regroup. I'd give them a chance against South Africa.
Right, we have 2 minutes left of film, so a couple of questions I want to ask, so you will have to keep your answers reasonably brief. And this is going to be tricky for you, I know, Keith, because it's something we've mentioned. No, I don't think it's going where you think it's going. It's something we've mentioned before. You did mention it to me, and I gave an answer, but I think it's only fair that you have a comment as well, because being a huge fan of Mr. Paul Collingwood over the years and a staunch supporter, I think you should have the final word on his Test career.
Well, I mean, Paul Collingwood retired from Test cricket after this Test. I think it's fair to say he's not the most talented English cricketer that's ever lived. He's certainly not the most stylish cricketer that England have ever produced. But I think he will go down as one of the real fans' favourites of English cricket. He played tough, gritty innings when it mattered. He was probably, well no, definitely the best English fielder of his generation. He's taken literally a dozen catches that will live long, long in the memory, and has been a fantastic servant of English cricket. He really has, and he will be greatly missed.
Okay, just over a minute left. Matt, Of the two test grounds that we saw, and I know you've experienced them before, how would you sum up the MCG compared to the SCG?
MCG is pretty unique in it's 80,000-90,000 people. When it's full, it's an amazing sight. Pretty much unlike anything you'd see in world cricket. But at the end of the day, it's just a big stadium, it's not a cricket ground. Whereas if you want something that's aesthetically pleasing, the SCG is pretty hard to beat. You're looking at the SCG alongside Lords, Newlands in Cape Town, maybe Adelaide Oval as some of the most beautiful grounds in the world to watch cricket in.
Okay, quick comment on the Barmy Army. It's been a big topic of debate. What do you have to say about the Barmy Army in 20 seconds or so?
Barmy Army, fantastic. The Mitchell Johnson song was one of the highlights of the series for me, but I'm never ever going to buy a ticket to sit right in the middle.
Okay, and final question. I mean, England's batters did so well throughout the series. It's not something we're used to in Australia. Why do you think that was?
I think it's probably because Mitchell Johnson bowls to the left and he bowls to the right. Effectively, his bowling is... No, I can't say that word on camera. Not right. His bowling's not right.
Okay. One last look at the Harbour Bridge. One last look at the Opera House.